how to turn your wife's treadmill into a treadmill desk. Number one, explain to her that you're fat and you need to exercise and not sit around so much because sitting is killing you. Number two, buy a really cheap piece of wood or this press wood like this, except it didn't have that piece of that sawed away a little bit. Number three, get a saw. Where's my saw? Gotta get a saw. Hold on, I saw a saw somewhere. Number four, remember where you put the saw. Oh, here it is. Okay, the cheapest saw you can find from a place like Home Depot, from a hardware store. It comes in a package, but you know, the saws are incredibly easy to take out of the package because they're saws. If you don't have any kind of setup to do carpentry because you're completely incompetent when it comes to building things, it's okay, because all you have to do is kind of wedge it in there and try not to saw your kneecap off. And you're gonna saw a nice shape like this. You have to be careful not to get your hand in the way of the saw because it cuts right through flesh a lot easier than it cuts through board. Okay. Yeah. Very painful. Okay, I'm going to give you the same advice that I just gave YouTube personality Zifnor. Never use a saw. And if you have to saw something, get somebody who knows what they're doing to use it. In any case, after you saw it and clean up some of the blood from the floor, you'll want to sand it. I don't actually own any sandpaper. But you've created a shape much like the one on this piece of wood, except much better and smoother and more, what's the word? More symmetrical. Then, you want to get some big aspen styrofoam blocks of some kind. See them? Yeah. This from a fabric store and craft store. Squishy things, or things that can be easily carved, because they're going to hold your desktop up, since your desktop isn't flat if you put it right on. It's not going to be flat if you just put it right on the treadmill without holding up. So hold on a second, I'll be right back. To you it'll only seem like a 30th of a second. So as you can see, I'm a terrible carpenter. The board's too low, and it needs to be like this, right? Or even higher. It needs to be like this to this. And this technique also gives you some great abstract blood splatters on your desktop. So that's something to keep in mind, as well as on your wife's treadmill machine. So you want to stuff it up there with this thing here. But that's not going to stay. So I'm going to carve out, using my only tool, I'm going to carve out the bottom of this to make it flat and groove-y and to fit on the handlebars to hold the desktop up. Okay? So by my calculations, I should be making a groove in the middle of this exactly 1 unit thick that is at an angle of a certain undisclosed number of degrees. And I'm going to do that over this tub to catch all the styrofoam bits. All right. You don't want to get any styrofoam into the inner workings of the treadmill, so you might have to move to the side. It should be very inspiring to you if somebody as incompetent as I can build a treadmill desk, because that means that you can as well. That's not so bad. The other styrofoam block, same thing. Cut out a certain je ne sais quoi. To calculate the angle subtended by the groove, you need to take the value of pi and introduce it to string theory and reintroduce it to Newton's third law of aerodynamics and paleontology. You have to also compensate for any dark matter. And there, that's just, as you can see, that's just about the same as this one. Whoa. Comparison saw so that you can, now some sponge-like material might not require sawing. It might be just squishy in and of itself. But I wanted to get something that was cheap, because the key is you don't want to pay as much money to do this as it would cost to buy an actual prefabulated treadmill desk. When I say fabulated, I mean some other word. Now comes the duct tape. I would suggest grade 7 or 8 duct tape. That means you actually take it from a 7th or 8th grade classroom when the teacher isn't looking. Oh, here we go. It's best to do this when the owner of the treadmill isn't actually at home. The owner doesn't have to be your wife. The owner can be any person that you're intimately involved with, whom you're taking advantage of. I think I might need stitches. It's getting more and more bleeding is taking place in the wound area. God. Okay, so far so good. Now, perhaps the other day you bought some kind of adhesive. This is Bond's metal, wood, ceramics, leather, paper, most plastics, and more. It's also convenient for gluing back together gaping wounds in your hand that you've cut open with a saw. Now, let's see what the instructions say. Product work area from blah blah blah. Apply small amount to one of the surfaces. Press together for 30 seconds after using blah blah blah. Okay. Apply to surface. Now, you place this on top like that. It's a little higher on this side. You want to smash the side down that's too high. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever made. It's a little bit more. It's really close. See if you can guess this rhythm. It's Teenage Lobotomy by the Ramones. See if you can guess this one. It's California Uber Alice by the Dead Kennedys. But any genre of music with a beat will work for hammering down one side or the other of the desktop. At this point in time, you might want to apply a little bit more duct tape just to hold now, you're holding the blocks down. You can use other adhesives for this surface, but the important thing is that you don't want to make it super permanent if somebody actually wants to use the treadmill controls at some point for treadmilling. So what you want to do is just kind of, duct tape is great for this purpose because it's removable and the blood stains wash right off. Now I'm going to just put a little more duct tape on this one too. Alright, now we wait for just a second, I'll be right back. Alright, so put your computer there. This has space for a mouse if you have one of those old-fashioned devices that uses mice who have been specially trained to work with computers. So I wouldn't recommend any particular brand except that it should be an Apple computer if you're doing anything that involves creativity. You want to balance the computer on this slightly uneven table If the desktop is still not totally level, you may have to either prop the treadmill up at a slight angle or the entire house at a small angle, but you'll need to get a contractor to do that. This is it. Okay. Now, get ready to walk off those pounds. Hold on. Go. You want to maybe go a little faster? I can't remember what the... That's a good thing. I think I'll check my email. I think I'll upload this video that we're making while I'm on my treadmill desk. But, oh wow, look, I have a video from Joe Biden. What is he gonna say? He doesn't like Paul Ryan. Okay, well that's been today's episode of how to make a very crude yet functional treadmill desk so that you too can have the physique of a middle-aged former punk rocker. Thank you very much for watching, and I invite you to tune in to the media of your choice.